movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom, he's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco to Long Island, 'cause nothing's better than a motion video.
It's Movie Time. It's produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Fridays at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm K G Kline.
and this is It's Movie Time. Since when did you have a movie named The Drama? Aren't they all dramas?
Well, that is all this movie is about. So today, folks, we are talking about the new Zendaya film, The Drama.
Yes, right. Notice you didn't have to say Robert Pattinson movie.
Robert Pattinson is in there. So in this film, Zendaya plays a 30-year-old, very shy woman who's really in her first ever relationship. She has a meet cute with a older man, Robert Pattinson, who is Pattinson, thank you, who is a art expert, works at a museum.
Yeah.
And he's a very introverted person also, and they fall for each other, and eventually it leads to a proposal for marriage.
That sounds like a rom-com to me.
It starts off as a cute film, but it takes a very dark turn.
I think you're right.
During a dinner party when they are all drunk, and they are all asked to say the worst thing they've ever done in their lives, and it goes around the table, and finally it comes to Zendaya, and she announces something that she thought about doing. She didn't actually do it, but she thought very seriously and took steps to set into motion something really, really awful, but then backed out at the last minute. And this causes everything about this wedding to start falling apart.
Christopher Borgli is the director and writer, and got something up his sleeve. He doesn't mention at all one of my favorite playwrights, Henri Gibson.
Yeah, you have a very interesting take on this movie, John.
You did? So you read my...
Oh yeah, I did read it, and
right.
and talk about that. I think this is fascinating.
Well, we start out contemporarily with Don't Ask, Don't Say, with the matter of honesty. You know, the army about being gay.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Don't
ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell. And so the question about honesty among relationships is intriguing to me, because Ibsen sparked my thought that it wasn't the best thing in the world to be totally honest. That Ibsen posited we needed a basic lie. The character in his play demands that everybody be honest, and he's just ripping through relationships and families. He's destroying them because he's demanding that they be honest. And this is a variation. I realize he's not even probably thinking of Ibsen, but I sure was when I saw this, because Zendaya's character, Emma, I think your name is ill-advised to have spoken about this incident.
Well, and the movie makes it a very convenient excuse that they were all drunk at the time.
Yeah.
And I like your Ibsen angle. Ibsen came into play when I watched the Jim Carrey movie Liar, where he's cursed to tell the truth in response to everything he says.
Good one.
And of course, it destroys his life.
Yes.
Because there are things that, as people in normal society, we just don't talk about. True or not true, we just don't talk about. Now, I had a little different take on this, and it probably spoiled the movie for me, because my immediate reaction was to think of Abbie Hoffman in the Chicago 7, and his favorite line during the trial where he says, "I didn't realize I could be put on trial for something I thought." And he's touching upon a fundamental in America, which is that this is a country where we have freedom of thought. We have the freedom to think whatever we want without thought police coming into play, or it's like in in the People's Republic of China, where they have indoctrination programs to teach you how to think. In America, one of our founding freedoms is we can think the most heinous things, but if we don't do anything, we haven't committed any act.
And isn't that true in life? I think we want to assume that, at least in civilized society.
I think it is true, but that becomes a challenge when you're watching this movie, because This movie doesn't really have a story. It has a lot of exposition. It is these four characters, and each one has a different take on what Zendaya has said she thought about doing. One of them is extremely hostile, her maid of honor, and wants to basically just ruin the wedding. The other, the maid of honor's husband, is very permissive and says, well, you know, she thought about it, but she didn't do anything. So
I thought Elena Hamm was really almost stole that show.
She was fantastic. And of course, her husband, her soon-to-be husband, Robert Pattinson, is Zendaya's partner is very supportive of her, but it begins to eat away at him.
Yeah.
And it slowly builds until we get to the second act, which is the worst wedding since Game of Thrones.
I have to tell you, I think that the film does a terrific job about the angst of getting married, and moving up to the thing that I thought was always excessive, the typical American wedding, and all the preparations that go with it.
And all the people who want to have a say in it, and all the lack of control that the husband feels through the whole process. It's all very nicely done in there. It's just incorporated into such a dark storyline that it's hard to take this as an example of a typical wedding when all throughout the film, all anybody is thinking about and talking about is this heinous thing that Zendaya's character didn't do.
Right, yeah. And you have all kinds of nefarious characters who are supposedly friends. And you, starting out with Elena Hamm's character, which I thought was really unusual. Usually there's a supportive person in that role, and she goes after her.
And that's the very basics of this film, is that it's not a story. It is how each of these three people react to Zendaya's announcement, and how in each scene we're getting their reaction affecting Zendaya's character and her fiance's character. And so and that was my problem with this, is that I think these characters are somewhat two-dimensional. They were put in there specifically to fill the role. This is the one who hates her for what she's done. This is the one who's very tolerant and says, well, she really didn't do anything. This is the one who says he thinks it's okay, but then it starts eating away at him. And she's this helpless person that spouted out something stupid when she was drunk, who has to now have her life transformed by it.
Yeah.
And it never really goes beyond that. It just gets worse and worse and worse until we get to the wedding, when it couldn't be any worse.
It is so true. And I love the way Borgley depicts that wedding. It is all of our nightmares about such a ceremony. And I've been through it, but not elaborate wedding like that one. But it's still, there's something ominous about it, like waves about ready to crush you.
As if you're waiting for something bad to happen.
Exactly.
You're almost hoping something bad happens, so that there's a difference, a diversion from this carefully planned event.
And I don't know how many brides are very happy with the photography. They never usually. And this photographer is something of an imp, for goodness sake.
Well, and the photographer plays the person who has no clue what's going on. She's the outsider who's trying to figure out why this is going so horribly wrong, just from the looks. And that's one of the great scenes in this movie, is when she's taking the photographs, and Zendaya and Robert Pattinson manage to convey expressions on their face that clearly show there's a growing gap between them, and the photographer picks up on that. And it's really nicely done, because there's almost no dialogue in
Stand
this.
there next to the woman you love.
Yeah.
And I love the way she gives her directions, because she knows something not good. She's seasoned enough, she knows something's not good.
This is not the usual wedding photographs.
Now, one thing that fulfilled my notion of what a rom-com used to be, not now, but now, was the dance sequence. I thought this was a really beautiful scene where they're being trained to dance.
Trained to dance,
wedding. Yeah, and there's something elegant about the two of them. There's something that removes them from the trauma, for me, anyway. And
they're focused on the dance, and when they're rehearsing the dance, they're not thinking as much about the bad thing.
Yeah.
And of course, they had started rehearsing for the dance before she spouted out during this drunken party. So this is a moment of almost like seclusion for them, where they can focus on something else.
All right, K G Kline, I hope we haven't dissuaded anyone from having a marriage ceremony.
They build this movie, like most Zendaya films, as a erotic film. And folks, Zendaya does not do erotic films. I have never found anything
That's a good
titillating.
point.
This is very similar to the film she did a year ago about the tennis players.
Oh yeah, Challengers.
Challengers, which, this erotic film. No.
Thank you, that's a good one. I avoided that when I saw the
no,
trailers.
these are not erotic movies. This is not Jennifer Lawrence. This is, there's going to be one or two sex scenes, but they're very tame, and I really get tired of them portraying Zendaya as this extremely kinky, erotic actress, because it's titillating, but it never lives up to expectations. I like her in Dune, where she's a member of a very large cast. She's a very competent actress. She does well in that supporting role. But when they make the movie around her and build it as a titillating film, you're going to be disappointed.
Pattinson is much more interesting as playing a
Pattinson is a much more interesting character actor.
Yeah. All right, K G Kline, we have more to say if people will go to our podcast experience, which is going to be Back Talk, and you have to go to WCBE.org. So, Ken, what do you recommend about the drama?
I like this film. I didn't love it. It's competent. It's well acted. It has some good scenes. I'm not sure it's a good date night film. It could open the door for some rough discussions.
Very good. I think with caution should you bring somebody. Now I took Patricia, and she appreciated it.
I'm going to guess you didn't get drunk afterwards and talk.
No, we didn't. This is what I like about her. I don't have to do that kind of thing. But I am looking for a substantial movie. This one is a winner currently.
It's movie time with DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just